Welcome back, algebra students. Marking period 3. Today we're going to be dealing with literal equations and dimensional analysis. So what we're going to do is we've been solving equations for a given variable, and we've been finding a number in return, an actual value in return. Today what we're going to start doing is we're looking at literal equations, which means we're solving equations that only have variables, that have multiple variables, and we're picking which variable we're going to solve it for. So sometimes you may want to solve an equation such as volume equals length times width times height for one of its variables. You might be given the volume, the length, and the width, and you have to find the height. So you would just solve it for the height. In this case, they want us to solve it for L. So, for example, if you know the values of volume, width, and height, then the equation length equals volume divided by width times height is more useful for finding the value of L. If an equation that contains more than one variable is to be solved for a specific variable, use the properties of equality to isolate the specified variable on one side of the equation. So we're solving for variables. So notice it says solve 2x minus 4y equals 8 for y. So we're solving this equation for y. So we want to isolate y. We want to get y by itself. So they start by rewriting 2x minus 4y equals 8. First thing they're going to do is they're going to subtract 2x to both sides. When you subtract 2x, you get 2x minus 2x. On the left, that cancels out. You get negative 4y equals 8 minus 2x. Then they're going to divide by 4. Everything gets divided by 4. So y equals, everything is divided by 4. So you have 8 minus 2x over negative 4. Or you can flip the sign. So the 4 becomes a negative, and everything up top becomes flipped as well. So the negative 2x becomes positive 2x minus 8. Solve 3m minus n equals km minus 8 for m. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the m's together. So they're subtracting km over. So we do this work, subtract km over, the km's cancel, and then we're adding n, the n's cancel. So you get 3m minus km equals negative 8 plus n. Now what they're doing is they're factoring it out. M. They see you can take an m out, so they call that factoring out. So you get m times 3 minus k. M minus 3 minus k. And then you would end up dividing by 3 minus k. And notice, since there's a variable in the denominator, you cannot have the denominator equals 0. So what they essentially did was they said 3 minus k cannot equal 0, and you solve for k. So they say k cannot equal 3, because 3 minus 3 is 0. So, but we're going to do more problems with that, and we're just going to go through and do some together. So, solve ax minus b equals c for x. So the first thing I like to do is I like to draw a box around what I'm solving for. That's my variable I want to isolate. So I'm going to use my normal rules of solving equations. Everything I do, and then I want to get x by itself. So on the same side is a times x minus b. So I need to move the b first. So I'm going to add b to both sides. The b's cancel, so I get ax equals b plus c. Now you could have put c plus b, b plus c, it didn't matter. Now I still want to get x by itself, so what's with x? The a. So I'm going to divide both sides by a. But everything gets divided by a. So I get x equals b plus c over a. But notice, a is in the denominator. I cannot have a equals 0. So that all we're going to say is A cannot equal 0. And that one's done. 15x plus 1 equals y. We're going to solve for x. So I'm going to put my box around x again. And I'm going to isolate x. So I'm going to subtract 1, subtract 1. So 15x equals y minus 1. Divide by 15. X equals y minus 1 over 15. And that's my answer. Notice I don't have to say 15 can't equal 0 because 15 never does equal 0. So I only need to put this stipulation here when there's a variable. X plus f plus 2 equals j. Solve for x. So I'm going to move everything away. I can do this in one step, actually. I'm going to subtract 2 to both sides. And I'm going to subtract f to both sides. 2's cancel, f's cancel. So I have x equals j minus 2 minus f. And there's no denominator, so I don't have any restrictions. And that is my answer. So it's if you're noticing, it's not entirely difficult to do. You just have to remember your steps. So I want to isolate y. So I'm going to subtract w first. So xy equals 9 minus w. And then I'm going to divide by, remember I'm trying to get y by itself, so I'm going to divide by x. So y equals 9 minus w divided by x. And x is in the denominator, so x cannot equal 0. X cannot equal 0. We're going to solve this equation for k. So I'm going to circle k. So x is being multiplied by 4 minus k. That's a quantity. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by x now. Divide by x. So I get 4 minus k equals p over x. Now I'm going to subtract 4 to both sides. So I'm going to get negative k equals p over x minus 4. Now, k is not by itself. I need to get rid of that negative, so I can divide by negative 1. But remember, everything gets divided by negative 1. Everything gets divided by negative 1. And all I'm doing is flipping the sign. So I get k, positive k, equals negative p over x plus 4. And remember, x is in the denominator, so x cannot equal 0. Number 6, I'm solving for y. So I circle the y. That's what I want to get away. So I'll subtract 7x first. They cancel, so I get 3y equals m minus 7x. Divide by 3. Divide everything by 3. Y equals m minus 7x over 3. So that's my answer. That's it. Notice I don't have to put my restriction because 3 is in the denominator, which is a constant. It's not a variable. So 3 can never equal 0. And then we'll do... Roxanne, can you mute, please? So we were distracted. Okay, so I'm going to do these three, and then I'm going to leave you guys with a couple to do on your own. So we're solving this one for R. So notice our first step, if I want to solve for R, my first step is I need to get rid of this 4 because R plus 3 is in parentheses, so the 4 is being multiplied. So I'm going to divide by 4, R plus 3 equals T over 4. Now I'm going to subtract 3, and I get R equals T over 4 minus 3. No restrictions because there's no variables in the denominator. Let's see. I'm going to solve for x. So don't let these get you all scared because we're doing the same methods that we've always been doing. So subtract b, 2x minus equals w minus b. Divided by 2, x equals w minus b over 2. And last one that I'm going to do with you guys is this one, and I want to solve for x. So watch how quickly this one goes. We're actually just going to divide both sides by 1 plus y. 1 plus y. Cancels out there, and I get x equals z over 1 plus y. But if you remember, I have a variable in my denominator, and my denominator cannot equal 0. Not my variable, my denominator cannot equal 0. So what value makes 1 plus y equals 0? Well, y would have to be -1, so y cannot equal -1. And that's our answer. So you guys have 6 problems to do, and don't worry about doing the other problems. Just do those 6 problems, and make sure you submit. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.